My dear child, there are moments in life that look ordinary from the outside, but heaven knows they are not ordinary at all. Maybe you thought you simply found these words by chance. Maybe you thought this was just another message, another video, another quiet moment in the middle of your day. But deep in your heart, something knows this moment is different. You are not here by accident. Somehow, through all the noise, through all the distractions, through all the weight you have been carrying, God has brought you to this exact moment, not to condemn you, not to shame you, not to remind you of everything you have done wrong, but to call you home. You have been running for a long time. Maybe no one else can see it. Maybe, from the outside, your life still looks normal. You still smile when you need to smile. You still answer when people ask how you are. You still show up. Keep going. And do what has to be done. But inside, you know the truth. You are tired. Tired of pretending you are okay when something inside you has been aching for years. Tired of carrying memories that still have the power to make your chest heavy. Tired of trying to be strong when all you really want is a safe place to fall apart. Maybe you have been running from your past, from the things you regret, from the choices you wish you could undo, from the version of yourself you still struggle to forgive. Maybe you have been running from pain, a quiet, hidden pain that no one sees because you have learned how to hide it well. You have learned how to keep moving, how to stay busy, how to act like the wound is no longer there. But God sees it. He sees the part of you that still remembers. He sees the place in your heart where the ache never fully left. He sees the nights when your thoughts were too loud, the mornings when you woke up already feeling heavy, and the quiet moments when you wondered if life would always feel this way. And maybe, somewhere along the road, you even started running from God Himself. Not because you stopped needing Him, but because something made you believe He would not want you anymore. Maybe someone spoke about God in a way that made Him seem harsh, distant, and impossible to please. Maybe your own mistakes made you feel too ashamed to pray. Maybe disappointment built a wall between your heart and heaven. Maybe you prayed once, and when the answer did not come the way you hoped, something inside you quietly stepped back. But hear this with your whole heart today. God has never stopped watching over you. Not for 1 second. Not on the days when you felt close to Him. Not on the days when you wanted nothing to do with Him. Not when you were strong. Not when you were weak. Not when you made the right choice. Not when you fell again and wondered if grace could still reach that low. He was there. Not standing over you with anger, but standing near you with mercy. Not waiting for the perfect version of you to appear, but loving the real you, the tired you, the wounded you, the one who has been trying to survive with a heart full of things you were never meant to carry alone. And today, He is speaking again, not with a voice of punishment, but with the tenderness of a father who has missed his child. Come home. That is what He is saying. Come home from the exhausting road of trying to prove you are enough. Come home from the empty places where you searched for love and still felt unseen. Come home from the pressure to build a life that looks successful while your soul feels lonely. Come home from the fear that you have gone too far. You have not gone too far. The road may have been long, but His love has been longer. The night may have been dark, but His mercy has never lost sight of you. The distance may feel great to you, but to God, one honest turn of the heart is enough for grace to begin running toward you. Think about what you have been chasing. Maybe you chased relationships, hoping someone would finally make you feel whole. Maybe you chased approval, hoping the right praise would silence the old insecurity. Maybe you chased money, success, comfort, beauty, control, or distraction. And maybe some of those things looked beautiful for a while. But in the quiet, when everything slowed down, You could still feel it. Something was missing. Not because you were ungrateful. Not because you were weak. Not because you were impossible to satisfy. But because your soul was made for more than temporary comfort. Your heart was created for God. That missing thing was God. The peace you were looking for was not hidden in achievement. The love you were longing for was not meant to be earned from people who could barely carry their own wounds. The home your soul has been searching for was never a place on this earth. It was always Him. And now, right here, in this sacred moment, God is calling your name. Not the name people used when they judged you. Not the name shame gave you. Not the name your past tried to write over your life. He is calling the name He knew before you were ever born. Beloved. Child. Mine. Let that truth settle slowly into your heart. The God who formed the heavens, who holds the oceans, who knows the number of stars in the sky, also knows the trembling places inside you. He knows your story completely. And still, He chooses you with a love that does not turn away. This is your turning point. Not because all your questions are answered in one moment. Not because every problem disappears immediately, but because something inside you is beginning to turn back toward the one who has been waiting with open arms. So take a breath. You do not have to fix everything before you come. You do not have to find perfect words. You do not have to hide the broken pieces. Just turn your heart toward Him and whisper, even if your voice feels small, Father, I want to come home. Because the moment a tired heart turns toward God, heaven leans close. And this is where the journey begins. And before you can truly come home, God wants to touch the wounds you have been hiding for far too long. Not every wound can be seen from the outside. Some pain does not leave a visible mark. It does not always change the way you walk, or the way you speak, or the way you smile when people are watching. Sometimes, the deepest pain hides beneath a calm face. It lives quietly in the heart, waiting for the moments when everything becomes still. Maybe you know that kind of pain. Maybe someone you trusted disappointed you in a way you never expected. Maybe someone who should have protected your heart became the reason you learned to guard it. Maybe words were spoken over you years ago. And even now, those words still echo in quiet places. Words that made you feel too small, too difficult, too unwanted, too much, and somehow not enough. And though time has passed, the pain did not simply disappear. You learned to live around it. You learned which memories to avoid. You learned how to change the subject in your own mind before the ache became too heavy. You learned how to keep going. But healing is not the same as hiding. And surviving is not the same as being whole. God sees the difference. He sees the wounds no one else noticed. He sees the moments that shape the way you see yourself. He sees the reason trust became hard for you. He sees why you pull away when people get too close. He sees why love sometimes feels dangerous, even when your heart deeply longs for it. And today, He wants you to know this. Those wounds do not define you. What happened to you is not the final word over you. The pain you carry is not your identity. The voices that made you feel small do not have the authority to name you. The people who failed to love you well do not get to decide your worth. You are not the sum of everything that was done to you. You are a beloved child of God. That is deeper than your pain. That is truer than your memories. That is stronger than the words that tried to break your confidence. Before anyone ever misunderstood you, God knew you. Before anyone ever rejected you, God chose you. Before anyone ever wounded your heart, God had already written love over your life. And His love is still speaking. Maybe because of what you have been through. You built walls around your heart. At first, those walls may have felt necessary. They gave you distance. They gave you control. They helped you feel safe when the world felt uncertain. But over time, those same walls became heavy. They kept people out, but they also kept pain in. They protected you from being hurt again, but they also made it hard for love to reach the places that needed it most. They made it difficult to receive kindness without suspicion, comfort without fear, and closeness without preparing yourself for loss. And perhaps, without even realizing it, those walls also kept God at a distance. Not because he stopped loving you, but because pain can teach the heart to hide, even from the one who came to heal it. Today, God is not forcing his way in. He is not breaking down the door of your heart with anger. He is knocking gently, patiently, tenderly. He is saying, I am here. I know what happened. I know what you lost. I know what you have carried. And I am not afraid of your pain. Let that settle in. God is not afraid of your pain. You do not have to make it sound more spiritual before you bring it to him. You do not have to explain it perfectly. You do not have to pretend that it no longer hurts. You can come to him honestly, with a part of your heart that still trembles when certain memories rise. Healing begins when you stop hiding the wound from the healer. Not all at once. Maybe. Not in a rushed way. God is gentle with wounded hearts. He does not demand that you open every locked room in a single moment. Sometimes healing begins with one small prayer, one honest tear, one quiet confession. Lord, this still hurts. And that is enough for grace to begin. Because when you say those words to God, you are no longer carrying the pain by yourself. You are inviting him into the place where you once felt alone. You are allowing his presence to enter the room inside your heart that has been closed for years. And when God enters a wounded place, he does not come empty-handed. He comes with truth for every lie, peace for every anxious place, strength for every weary place, love for every place that felt unwanted. He will not erase your story, but he will redeem it. He will not pretend the pain never happened, but he will make sure the pain does not have the final word. He will take what was meant to make you bitter and slowly turn it into compassion. He will take what made you feel weak and slowly teach you how deeply you are held. So today, you do not need to tear down every wall at once. Just open one small place. Let him in there. Let his love touch one memory, one fear, one ache, one place you thought would never heal. And as he begins to touch your wounds, he will also begin to lift the guilt you were never meant to carry. And as God begins to touch your wounds, he will also begin to lift the guilt you were never meant to carry. Because pain is not the only thing that weighs down the soul. Sometimes the heaviest burden is not what others did to you, but what you believe can never be forgiven in you. Maybe there are moments from your past that still rise in your mind when everything becomes quiet. Words you wish you had never spoken. Choices you wish you could take back. Doors you opened that brought pain into your life. People you hurt. Seasons when you knew what was right, but you still walked the other way. And because of those things, maybe you have quietly believed that God looks at you differently now. Maybe you have thought, he may love other people, but not me. Not after everything. Not after all the times I promised I would change and still fell back again. But listen carefully. That story is not the voice of God. God does not invite you home just to shame you at the door. He does not call your name just so. He can remind you of every failure. His mercy is not fragile. His forgiveness is not small. His grace does not run out the moment your weakness becomes visible. The forgiveness of God is not something you earn by becoming impressive enough. It is not a reward for people who have never fallen. It is not reserved for those who can explain their past neatly or prove they will never struggle again. Forgiveness is a gift given through the love and sacrifice of Jesus Christ. And that gift is available to you right now. Not when you finally feel worthy. Not when you have punished yourself long enough. Not when you have hidden your broken pieces well enough. right now. Here, with the regret still in your hands. Here, with tears still near the surface. Here, with the honest ache of knowing you cannot rewrite yesterday. But you can bring yesterday to the God who redeems. The moment your heart turns to Him and says, I am sorry. I want to come home. Heaven does not hesitate. God receives the repentant heart. He washes what shame said could never be clean. He lifts what guilt said you must carry forever. He speaks a better word over your life than the accusation that has been echoing in your mind. This does not mean your past did not matter. It does not mean every consequence disappears. It does not mean healing always happens instantly. But it does mean this. Your past no longer has the authority to own you. God's mercy is stronger than your worst chapter. And now He is inviting you into something deeper than relief. He is inviting you into surrender. The world has taught you that surrender means defeat. It means losing control. It means giving up because you were not strong enough to keep fighting. But in the kingdom of God, surrender is not weakness. Real surrender is not weakness. Surrender is the holy courage to open your hands before God and admit, I was never meant to carry this alone. Think about how long you have been trying to control everything. Your future, your relationships, your image, your finances, your healing, the way people see you, the way tomorrow might unfold. You have held the steering wheel of your life so tightly that your soul has grown tired. You have tried to predict every outcome, prevent every disappointment, and prepare for every possible pain. But human hands were never created to hold the weight of an entire life. Only God can carry that. And surrender begins when you stop pretending that you can. So take a quiet breath. Let your heart become still for a moment. And whether you open your hands physically or simply open them inside your soul, pray these words slowly. Father, I cannot do this alone. I am tired of trying to control everything. I give this to you. I trust you. Do not rush those words. Let them move through the places in you that have been clenched for years. I give this to you. That does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop carrying what only God can hold. I trust you. That does not mean you understand everything. It means you believe God is still good, even in the places you cannot explain. Surrender does not make you passive. It does not mean you sit still forever and do nothing. It means you stop acting from panic, and you begin walking from peace. You acknowledge what is real. You place it in God's hands. You trust His wisdom more than your fear. And then you take the next faithful step. Maybe that step is apologizing. Maybe it is forgiving yourself. Maybe it is asking for help. Maybe it is closing a door you know God has been asking you to close. Maybe it is simply waking up tomorrow and choosing not to return to the old lie that you are beyond grace. Whatever the step is, you do not take it alone. The Father who calls you home also walks beside you after you return. And as you surrender to Him, another battle will begin. The battle against the voice that has been lying to you. And as you surrender to God, another battle will begin. The battle against the voice that has been lying to you. You know that voice. It often comes when everything is quiet, late at night, when the room is still and your thoughts begin to rise. Early in the morning, before the day has even started, when your heart feels heavy before your feet touch the floor, in the middle of an ordinary moment, when a memory returns, a fear appears, or a small mistake suddenly feels like proof that nothing in you has changed. That voice whispers with cruelty. It says you are too late. It says you have made too many mistakes. It says no one truly understands you. It says you will always be this way. It says God may love others, but He is disappointed in you. But today, that voice is being exposed. Because a lie can feel powerful when it stays hidden in the dark. It can sound almost true when you have heard it for years, But the moment the light of God's truth touches it, it begins to lose its grip. The voice that condemns you is not the voice of your Father. God may correct you, but He does not crush you. God may lead you to repentance, but He does not bury you under shame. God may show you what needs to change, but He never speaks as if you are hopeless. The enemy speaks in accusation. The Father speaks in truth. And here is the truth. You are known completely by God, and you are loved completely by God. Not the cleaned-up version of you. Not the version that knows what to say. Not the version that never struggles. The real you. The tired you. The confused you. The one who still has questions. The one who is still learning how to trust. God sees all of you, and His love has not turned away. So when the old voice comes back, you do not need to argue with it for hours. You do not need to sit with every accusation and try to prove your worth. You answer a lie with truth. Speak slowly, even if your heart trembles. I am loved. I am forgiven. I am God's child, and I belong to Him. Say it again, not as empty words, not as a performance, but as a declaration of what heaven has already spoken over you. I am loved. I am forgiven. I am God's child, and I belong to Him. There will be days when you feel this deeply, and there will be days when you do not feel it at all. But truth is not made true by your feelings. Truth is true because God has spoken it. This is why prayer matters. Prayer is not just something religious people do when they have the right words. Prayer is not a speech you perform for God. Prayer is not a test you pass or fail. Prayer is simply a conversation with your Father. And your Father does not require a perfect voice. He wants your honest voice, your tired voice, your broken voice, your quiet voice, the voice that says, Lord, I do not know what to do. The voice that says, God, I am afraid, but I am bringing this fear to you. The voice that says, Father, I want to trust you, but I need your help. That is prayer. Not pretending, not hiding, not trying to sound stronger than you are. Just coming close to God with the truth of your heart. You can pray while driving to work. You can pray while washing dishes. You can pray in your room with the door closed. You can pray in silence when words feel too heavy. You can whisper one sentence and heaven will hear it. No prayer is too small when it comes from a sincere heart. And prayer is not only speaking. Prayer is also listening. Sometimes, after you pour your heart out to God, the most faithful thing you can do is become still. Let the noise settle. Let your soul breathe. Open the scriptures. Sit quietly before Him. Ask Him to show you what is true. God may not always answer in the way you expected. He may not always explain everything immediately. But He is not absent. He speaks through His word. He speaks through peace that rises quietly where panic used to live. He speaks through wisdom, through gentle conviction, through the steady reminder that you are not alone. So today, try this simple prayer. Lord, I admit what I am feeling. I give you the burden I cannot control. I trust that you are with me. Teach me to hear your voice above every lie. Then pause. Breathe slowly. Do not rush back into fear. Let the presence of God become louder than the voice that tried to shame you. Because the more you learn to pray honestly, the more you will recognize your Father's voice. And as you learn to hear Him, God will begin to show you who you truly are. And as you learn to hear His voice, God will begin to show you who you truly are. Not who your past says you are. Not who your fear says you are. Not who shame has called you in the quiet places of your heart. But who God says you are. Because when God speaks over your life, His word is not temporary. It does not rise and fall with your emotions. It does not change because people misunderstand you. It does not disappear because you had a weak day. a hard season, or a chapter you wish you could erase. What God says is true, and God says you are His child. Let that truth settle deeper than a sentence. You are not an accident moving through life without meaning. You are not a mistake God is trying to tolerate. You are not a forgotten soul hidden somewhere in the crowd. Before you were ever known by people, you were known by God. Before anyone formed an opinion about you, God had already placed value on you. Before your life had achievements, failures, wounds, memories, or questions, the Father looked upon you with love. You did not become valuable when people approved of you. You did not lose value when people rejected you. Your worth was never meant to be held in human hands. That is why it has hurt so much when you tried to find your identity in places that could not hold it. You looked for it in success, but success kept asking for more. You looked for it in approval, but approval changed from person to person. You looked for it in performance, but performance made you tired. You looked for it in being needed, being noticed, being useful, being strong. But none of those things could give your soul a permanent name. Only God can do that. And the name He gives you is beloved. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. That does not mean you must feel confident every moment. It does not mean you will never struggle with insecurity. It means that beneath every shifting feeling, there is a truth that does not move. You were created with care, intention, dignity, and purpose. Your life carries meaning because God placed meaning there. Your story carries purpose because God is able to redeem every chapter. Even the parts you thought were wasted are not beyond His hands. The pain you survived, the tears you prayed through, the waiting that stretched your faith, the weakness that taught you dependence. God can take all of it and weave it into something that blesses not only you, but others through you. Do not despise the small places where God may use your life. Purpose is not always loud. Sometimes purpose looks like loving your family with patience. Sometimes it looks like speaking one honest word of encouragement to someone who was about to give up. Sometimes it looks like choosing integrity when no one is watching. Sometimes it looks like praying quietly, serving faithfully, forgiving slowly, and showing up again when life has been heavy. In the kingdom of God, nothing done with love is wasted. So do not believe the lie that your life must look impressive before it can matter. God uses willing hearts. He uses ordinary days. He uses quiet obedience. He uses people who say, even with trembling voices, Lord, use me. And as you remember who you are, you must also remember that you were not created to walk this road alone. Isolation may feel safe when you have been hurt, but it can slowly make the soul weaker. God often brings healing through His presence, His word, and also through people who know how to love with grace. You do not need to tell everything to everyone. Wisdom matters. Trust should be handled carefully, but ask God to bring the right people into your life. People who will pray with you, speak truth gently, and remind you of who you are when you forget. Faith grows stronger in the light, and little by little, as God restores your identity, you will begin to live differently. You will not need to perform for love, because you are already loved. You will not need to prove your worth, because your worth is already settled. You will not need to compare your journey with someone else's, because God is writing your story with His own hands. So speak this truth over yourself, slowly and faithfully. I am a child of God. I am loved. I am chosen. I am forgiven. I have a purpose. I have a future. I belong to the King of all kings. Say it when you feel strong. Say it when you feel weak. Say it when the old names try to return. Because this is who you are. And knowing who you are is only the beginning. Now God is inviting you to walk out of the prison and into freedom. And knowing who you are is only the beginning. Now God is inviting you to walk out of the prison and into freedom. Not someday. Not when you finally feel strong enough. Not when every question has been answered. Not when your life looks clean and peaceful from the outside. Right here. In this moment, God is opening the door. For so long, shame may have kept you standing in the dark. Guilt may have told you that freedom was for other people, but not for you. Fear may have convinced you that if you stepped forward, you would only fall again. The past may have whispered that nothing could ever truly change. But the voice of your Father is louder than all of that. And his voice says, "Come home." There is a story Jesus told about a son who walked away from home. He took what the Father gave him and went into a far country. For a while, maybe it felt exciting. Maybe it felt like freedom. But what looked like freedom slowly became emptiness. What looked like life slowly became hunger. And one day, that son found himself broken, ashamed, and far from where he belonged. Then something awakened in him. He remembered his father's house. He did not return with confidence. He did not return with pride. He returned rehearsing an apology, expecting rejection, hoping only to be treated like a servant. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him, and the father ran. He did not stand at the door with a list of failures. He did not wait for the son to explain every mistake. He did not demand that the son clean himself up before being embraced. He ran toward him. He held him. He welcomed him home. That is the heart of God toward you. God is not standing far away, waiting for you to become worthy of his love. He is already moving toward you with mercy. He is not ashamed to call you his child. He is not surprised by your weakness. He is not confused by your pain. He knows the whole story. And still, his arms are open. Come home. Stay home. Walk with him. Coming home is not just one emotional moment. It is the beginning of a new way of living. It means that tomorrow, when the old thoughts return, you bring them back to God. It means that when guilt tries to rise again, you answer it with grace. It means that when fear begins to speak, you pause, breathe, and remember who is holding your life. It means learning to pray honestly. It means opening the scriptures when your soul feels hungry. It means choosing forgiveness. Not because the pain was small, but because God is leading you out of captivity. And maybe there is someone you still need to forgive. Someone whose name still tightens something inside you. Someone whose actions left marks on your heart. Forgiveness does not mean pretending it did not hurt. It does not mean saying what happened was acceptable. It does not mean removing wise boundaries or returning to unsafe places. Forgiveness means placing the wound into the hands of God and refusing to let bitterness become the ruler of your future. You may not feel ready. That is okay. You can begin with a simple prayer. God, I am willing to forgive, but I need your help. That prayer may feel small, but in heaven, it is powerful. It is the sound of a heart choosing freedom over chains. It is the first step away from the prison of what happened and toward the life God is restoring. Freedom does not always arrive like a sudden storm of emotion. Sometimes it begins quietly. A breath that feels a little lighter. A memory that no longer controls the whole day. A prayer spoken without fear. A morning when hope feels possible again. Sometimes God calms the storm. Sometimes he strengthens you to walk through it. Prayer does not always remove the battle immediately, but it changes who is carrying the battle with you. And from this day forward, you are not carrying it alone. The road ahead may still have hard days. There may still be moments when the enemy tries to bring back the old lies. There may still be seasons of waiting, growing, learning, and healing. But you are not the same person who began this journey. Something has been planted in your heart. Truth has been spoken. Grace has touched the hidden places. The Father has called you by name. So speak this over your life. I am loved. I am forgiven. I am free. I belong to God. And I am never going back. Say it slowly. Say it when your faith feels strong. Say it when your voice trembles. Say it when the past tries to pull you backward. Because this is not just a sentence. It is a declaration of freedom. You belong to God. Your life is not over. Your story is not finished. Your wounds are not the end. Your failures are not the final word. The Father who received you will also restore you. The God who called you home will teach you how to stay. So take His hand. Walk forward gently. Walk forward honestly. Walk forward with faith. And when you feel weak, return again to His presence. When you feel lost, return again to His voice. When you feel afraid, return again to His love. This is where healing continues. This is where freedom grows. This is where your heart learns to rest. Welcome home. My dear child, welcome home.